Well, with pomp and circumstance, President Obama's second term begins today in our nation's capital.
The inaugural ceremonies and speeches highlighted bipartisanship, but the country remains deeply divided. UW political science professor Charles Franklin joins us once again. Happy New Year to you. Haven't seen you in a bit.
Good to see you.
So your impressions of the speech?
I think it's a very interesting speech, and it bears reading for the language and the rhetoric. Most inaugurals root whatever they have to say in the founding principles, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and Obama's speech very much did that all men are created equal, they're endowed with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But then he used that to build a case that health care and retirement programs are necessary parts of that equality for women, for gays, for African Americans are inherent in that. And also the idea that the principles of the Constitution have to be rediscovered and reinterpreted in each age. He used examples of railroads and then the interstate highway system and infrastructure as examples of that. So it's interesting, a conservative president might have taken the same founding text and taken it in one direction. He took it and put it in another context. The most striking thing is probably that the first inaugural was in many ways a more conciliatory, a more call for a new bipartisanship. We didn't hear very much of those calls in this speech.
I was just going to ask you that. You just read my mind. Because did you hear anything that helped bridge the divide?
I think there were some passing references to it, the idea that we don't have to settle our differences forever, but that we do have to decide what we're doing now. That's a little bit of both, right? It recognizes that the divisions between us aren't easy to solve, but says we have to move ahead with them. I did not hear a broad call for a notion that we could just get down and work together and solve our problems, and in that maybe he's a little more realistic 4 years later.
So what do you think the speech forecasts for the next 4 years?
Well, I think that the dilemmas that we have are so real right now, given the partisan divide, that it's very difficult to see how we work our way to any kind of genuine bipartisanship. Republicans and their constituents are very committed to one set of views on the budget and spending, but Democrats and their constituents are very committed to protecting social programs like Social Security and Medicare. So I think both parties are going to find themselves grounded in the heartfelt ambitions of their constituents. That's going to be making compromise very hard. I guess the challenge will be, can we just muddle through here without facing fiscal disasters and stalemates that are damaging to the country?
And in a second term, are the stakes as high?
I guess yes and no. There's no re-election stake, so in that sense, not so much. But it's also the legacy period. It's the time that presidents want to build whatever accomplishments they have from the first term to secure those. And health care reform will certainly be a part of that, because this is the year that most of the regulations get written and implemented, and then they all start to come into effect in 2014. So the second Obama term will be a period when the promise of health care reform gets realized, either for good or for bad. And in that, I think that's one of his signature legacies that he'll care a lot about.
And we can't lose sight of the fact that it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day today as well, and a black president, taking office for the second time.
And reelected, yes, exactly. That the first election, but now the reelection. That realization of at least some significant and important measure of equality that didn't exist when King gave his speech in Washington.
We will see you soon. It's going to be an interesting 4 years. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Charles, good to see you.